Hello friends, hola amigos, ¿cómo estás? What's going on guys? Welcome back to another Division 2 build video. So in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing 3 of honestly some of the best solo legendary builds for PVE right now, okay? Like seriously guys, these setups are actually kind of crazy. But this one in particular has an incredible amount of survivability. Like the amount of survivability you get while still putting out this much damage is ridiculous. And I'm going to show you how this is even possible. But these setups also work really well in Escalation if you want to farm the lower tiers as a solo player. And they are super viable for legendary strongholds. But anyway guys, let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so starting off, we've got a build that stacks a serious amount of raw weapon damage. So with this setup, I'm using the Agitator exotic assault rifle with a 4-piece striker set and the Centurion Scabbard holster. And when I tell you that this setup absolutely shreds, this is actually a crazy combo. The damage ramps up fast, and you're getting up to 50% weapon damage from the Agitator and Centurion holster combined. However, there is a catch, and I'll get to that in just a moment, but another great aspect of this build is that your weapon automatically gets reloaded whenever you swap, right? Now this is only possible with the Centurion Scabbard holster, and you only get that ammo refill on one weapon, so whatever weapon gets the second swap bonus. So with this exotic holster, you're getting the talent counter. And so with this talent, swapping weapons will basically give you some increased stat bonuses in the following order. So you get both a 20% increased rate of fire and weapon damage for the first swap, then you get a 50% mag size as well as reload speed bonus for the second swap. Now, you also get rate of fire and weapon damage bonuses for swapping to the Agitator as well, and you actually get a decent amount. So with the Perturb talent, you're getting a 25% increased rate of fire, along with a 30% increased weapon damage when you swap to this weapon after it has been primed. And in order to prime this weapon, you simply just holster it for 10 seconds, right? Then once you swap back to it, you'll get that buff. Now, with both the Agitator and the Centurion Scabbard holster, that'll give you a 50% weapon damage increase, right? But here's the catch. You only get that bonus after swapping to the weapon once it's been primed. And you can tell when it's primed by monitoring the icon under your status bar. So essentially, you're getting a bonus whenever you swap weapons. And when you factor in Striker's Gamble, you get even more weapon damage. So real quick, Striker will provide your agent with both a 15% weapon handling and rate of fire for 3 pieces. Then for 4 pieces, you get the Striker's Gamble talent. So every weapon hit increases your total weapon damage by 0.65%, and this can stack up to 100 times. So that's like 65% weapon damage at full stacks, right? You lose 1 stack per second between 0 and 50, and 2 stacks between 50 to 100. It's a small downside, but it's honestly nothing to worry about at all. Now with the Striker Vest, you also get the talent, Press the Advantage. So this talent essentially doubles your stacks. You go from 100 to 200, and 3 stacks are lost per second between 100 and 200. Now, as far as the attributes on the mask, I went with armor for the core, and critical hit damage for the minor, with a critical hit chance mod. And gear sets only come with 1 minor attribute, unlike high-end brands. So that's just something to note if you're a beginner. For the vest, another striker piece with weapon damage and crit hit chance, with a crit damage mod. And for the knee pads, a prototype striker piece with armor and crit chance. Then for the gloves, the last piece of striker rolled with weapon damage and critical hit damage. And for the backpack, the named Liquid Engineer bag that comes with the talent, Perfect Bloodsucker. So this backpack talent is basically 90% of this build's survivability. With Bloodsucker, you're getting bonus armor per kill for 10 seconds. You get 10% per kill with the normal Bloodsucker, but with Perfect, you get 12%. This can stack up to 10 times, so you can imagine at full stacks, with the Perfect, that's about 120% added bonus armor. Now, if you still need the Liquid Engineer backpack, I'll show you a few ways to get it towards the end. But in the meantime, some great alternatives for adding more weapon damage are Walker Harris and Fenris, or Cheska and Grupo if you'd rather have more crits, since Striker doesn't provide any, right? Or if you want additional survivability, you can go with a normal Bellstone bag. You get a 1% armor regeneration bonus for one piece, right? And whatever you decide to use, just recalibrate the normal Bloodsucker talent and you're good to go. Now, you can go all red weapon damage core with this setup if you decide to run it with Bloodsucker, because like I said, Bloodsucker helps a lot with survivability as long as you're getting those kills, right? Now, for the global modifiers, I'm running the Blackout Pulse for the active. Blackout is great for crowd control because it releases an EMP pulse that destroys enemy equipment and temporarily shocks enemies, which can be super useful in certain situations. Then for the passive modifiers, Amplify, Convert 2, and Consume. Convert 2 is great if you want a larger magazine size. So basically, offense stacks increase magazine size at a base rate of 1% per offense stack. And Consume helps increase that by increasing offense stacks by 10. However, it will also decrease defense and utility stacks by 5 each, so just keep that in mind. For the skills, I'm running Decoy and Reviver Hive. Decoy helps with the threat level on the Agitator, and this is essentially enemy aggro, so basically the higher the threat level, the more aggro you get from NPCs. But the Decoy can help reduce that, especially if you're playing solo. And for the weapon specialization, I went with Gunner for the armor on kill bonus. Okay, so that previous setup is great if you want something strong that you can play from both mid to long range. And although the survivability was decent as well, this next build takes survivability to a whole nother level. So if you'd rather have more survivability while still keeping a good amount of weapon damage, then this build might be a better fit for you. So this is a 4-piece Aegis setup. And Aegis is essentially designed for survivability, so you're getting both an increased 15% total armor and 70% health for 3 pieces. Then for 4 pieces, you get the Stoic talent. So you get 4% damage resistance for every enemy that is targeting you. The maximum number is 8, and the bonus gets multiplied according to the number of agents in your group. So you're even tankier in a group, basically. Running the Chameleon with this gear set works out really well because while Aegis is providing you with survivability, the Chameleon is adding a significant amount of damage, right? You get up to 90% weapon damage just by landing body shots. So by landing 65 body shots, you get 90% weapon damage. Then landing 30 headshots gives you 20% crit chance and 50% crit damage, and 20 leg shots gives you a massive 150% reload speed bonus. And with the addition of the exotic Memento backpack, this setup truly becomes a powerhouse. So Memento basically gives you both a short and long-term buff. The short-term buff will scale with the number of core attributes you have equipped and lasts for 10 seconds. The long-term buff, on the other hand, lasts much longer, and at full stacks, you get up to 30% weapon damage and skill efficiency, as well as 3% armor regeneration. However, there is a catch, and you'll need to collect trophies from downed NPCs. So high risk, high reward in a sense, right? But each trophy is essentially a stack, and the buff lasts for 5 minutes. But the great thing is once you reach max stacks, every trophy you collect after that will reset the timer. Now, this is a full prototype setup, so for the mask, an Aegis mask with armor for the core attribute, and critical hit chance for the minor with a critical hit damage mod. And every prototype piece comes with an augment, kind of like mini talents. And for this piece, I've got the Echo augment, so every bullet fired has a 1.2% chance to deal damage twice. But this value will actually increase as you level the augment. For the vest, a prototype equalizer piece with weapon damage for the core attribute, both critical hit chance and damage for the minor, with a crit damage mod. And for the talent, Perfect Obliterate. So critical hits will increase your total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds. This stacks up to 24 times, so that's a super easy 24% added weapon damage, right? And for the augment, Paradox. For the holster, the third piece of Aegis with armor and headshot damage, ideally you'd want crit hit chance or damage instead, but quantum for the augment. For the knee pads, core armor with headshot and Paradox for the augment, and for the gloves, armor with headshot and Echo. Now, as many of you know, augments can stack, so for this build, I'd recommend using both the Echo and Quantum augments if you can, since Quantum will enhance your survivability and Echo helps out a bit with damage. But for the skills, I went with the Striker, Ballistic Shield, and Reviver Hive. The Striker Ballistic Shield variant actually gives you a small damage boost, so that's why I'm running it. I get about 13% per enemy since I have damage bonus mods, so it helps a lot. And here are the mods for the Reviver Hive in case anyone's curious. But yeah, the Striker Ballistic Shield variant comes with the Firewall weapon specialization, so you'll need to have it equipped. For the weapon stats, in case anyone's curious, 40% critical hit chance and 93% critical hit damage on the Chameleon. So moving on to the final setup on this list, this one is easily another one of my favorites. So this is a Heartbreaker setup utilizing the Memento backpack. The funny thing is, I never really considered running Memento with Heartbreaker before, mainly because you're already getting bonus armor from the gear set, but I was honestly shocked at how well Memento works with this setup. But then again, if you think about it, Memento also gives you armor regeneration and bonus weapon damage, so it makes sense. Memento works great with almost any build, honestly. So, with Heartbreaker, you'll need to play more aggressive since you're required to build stacks in order to activate the Heartstopper talent, which is very similar to the Striker's Gamble talent. So you get a really nice 15% AR and LMG damage bonus for having 2 pieces, 15% weapon handling for 3, and for 4 pieces, you get Heartstopper. So with Heartstopper, weapon hits on pulsed enemies will add a stack of both 1% bonus armor and 1.1% weapon damage to pulsed enemies up to a max of 50 stacks. So yeah, it's very similar to Striker where you have to build and maintain stacks. However, the only difference is that you can only build stacks on enemies that have been pulsed, and the bonus damage only applies to pulsed enemies as well. And thankfully, landing headshots will apply pulse to enemies. But there's actually another easier way to pulse enemies, which is more convenient. So if you wanted to, you could use the linked laser pointer attachment from the Technician Weapon Specialization tree. So for those who don't know, this attachment allows you to pulse enemies just by aiming at them, right? So it's helpful, but you'll be missing out on the armor on kill bonus from Gunner. And I'm actually running the Chameleon with this setup, so if you want, you can just use the Lexington or the Carbine 7 Police M4 or what have you. Then just roll Flatline on it. Flatline will amplify your weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. So this is a nice alternative. For the mask, a Heartbreaker mask with armor for the core, critical hit damage for the minor with a crit damage mod. Then for the vest, a Heartbreaker vest with armor, crit chance, and another crit damage mod. And a prototype salvo holster with quantum for the augment, then armor and crit chance. And since this is a named piece, I also get a 7.5% rate of fire bonus. For the knee pads, Heartbreaker with armor and crit chance. Then for the gloves, the final Heartbreaker piece, again with armor and critical hit chance. And last but not least, the exotic Memento backpack. And for the weapons, the Chameleon and Lexington AR. So the Chameleon actually works really well with Heartbreaker. It's really not that hard building Heartstopper stacks with the Chameleon since it already has such a high RPM, right? And with Salvo, it brings it to just a little over 1,000. And you don't need to constantly land headshots. All it takes is one headshot and the pulse gets applied to a target for 5 seconds. Then you can just go for straight body shots afterwards, right? Now, remember, you get crit bonuses for landing 30 headshots with the Chameleon, so that's another reason why it synergizes well with Heartbreaker, because you're going for headshots anyway, right? Okay, so now for the global modifiers, same as the previous build, same for all the builds actually. So Blackout for the active, then Amplify, Convert to, and Consume for the passives. You want to make sure you have them in this order so that you're getting that increased mag size, okay? Now, as far as alternatives, if anyone still needs the Chameleon, you can get this weapon super easy by running Countdown with assault rifles set as your targeted loot. Same thing with the Memento backpack and the named Salvo piece. You can get all these pieces from Countdown. Now for the Agitator, you can actually get this from the season reward track. So it should be number 69 on the current reward track, but I got mine from one of the caches during the Cherry Blossom event. So I don't think this weapon is in the general loot pool yet, but there's about 5 weeks left of this current season, so you can easily grind these out by doing the long priority objectives while activating the ongoing global event, okay? This should give you a lot more XP overall, and you'll also be earning global event credits at the same time, which you can spend at the season's vendor for caches. And while you're opening named caches, You can also try your luck at getting the Liquid Engineer backpack, since there's a chance it can drop from those as well. But honestly, if you really want to farm it fast, your best option is probably going to be the Dark Zone. Specifically when backpacks are targeted loot in one of the DZs, because that will be the ideal time to start farming landmarks, but that's of course if you're comfortable farming in the Dark Zone. Because the Liquid Engineer backpack is Dark Zone exclusive. Okay, anyway, this is Prajna. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope these builds help make the grind much easier for you guys. Also, don't worry if you don't have any prototype pieces, because they aren't mandatory for these setups, but if you can, I would recommend upgrading it. But in the meantime, you can just use normal pieces and work on these setups over time, tweak them or whatnot, okay? If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them for me in the comment section. Take care of yourself, trust the process, keep the faith, keep it cool, keep it classy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Mwah.